Stop letting everything get to you. Stop giving your peace away to every insult, every rejection, every disappointment. You've been reacting to everything around you like a puppet pulled by invisible strings. But the moment you learn to detach, truly detach, from the chaos around you, something shifts. You become untouchable. Because emotional detachment isn't about being cold. It's not about shutting down. It's about staying in control. Most people live as slaves to their emotions. They chase validation. They explode when ignored. They crumble when criticized. They live on emotional autopilot, constantly triggered, constantly drained. But not you. Not anymore. Because the few who rise above their emotions, the few who stay calm when life throws fire at them, those are the ones who win. Power isn't loud. Power isn't desperate. Power doesn't need to prove itself. Power is composed. It's self-contained. It's silent mastery. And this is your guide to that power. To becoming the kind of person who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't break. The kind of person who doesn't flinch when life gets loud. Who stands tall in the storm, breathing slow, unshaken. You'll learn how to respond, not react. To let go, not cling. To stay centered, even when the world demands chaos. To stay at peace, even when everything else falls apart. Because detachment isn't weakness, it's power under control. It's strength with calm. It's clarity with confidence. It's the ability to walk away from what no longer serves your growth. And see what truly matters and what never did. When you master emotional detachment, you stop living at the mercy of circumstance. You stop needing approval. You stop explaining your peace. Because you already know your worth. This isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about mastering emotion. Not about being distant, but being deliberate. Not about shutting out the world, but moving through it, calm, grounded, and in control. That's emotional intelligence at its highest form. That's power disguised as peace. That's detachment. So as you listen, don't just hear these words. Apply them. Because detachment isn't a concept, it's a discipline. A daily practice. A way of living that demands awareness, patience, and strength. You have a choice right now. To keep reacting. Or to start mastering. To keep chasing chaos. Or to command peace. Welcome to the power of emotional detachment. Your transformation begins now. Chapter 1. Stop reacting. Start observing. Stop reacting. Start observing. That's the first rule of emotional control. The first law of power. Every time you react, you hand someone else the keys to your mind. Every time you pause, you take them back. Most people never realize this simple truth. You can't control what you don't first observe. You can't master your emotions while you're trapped inside them. Step back. See the storm before it pulls you in. When you react without awareness, you become predictable. And predictability is weakness. The world exploits those who can't stay calm. The person who reacts emotionally is the one who gets manipulated, baited, and drained. But the one who observes before acting wins. The difference between power and panic. Let me tell you something about real strength. Powerful people are calm. Weak people are loud. The world trains you to be impulsive. To fire back instantly. To prove a point. To respond emotionally. Someone disrespects you and your instinct screams. Say something. Show them. But that isn't strength. It's insecurity dressed as power. Look at the people who truly move the world. They don't shout. They don't flinch. They observe. They study. They notice what others miss. They collect information while everyone else reacts to emotion. That is control. You always have a choice. React like a puppet or observe like a strategist. One burns out fast. The other builds empires. Pause before you react. Breathe before you speak. Observe before you move. That's the key. When you react, you lose. Think about how many times a single reaction cost you something. A job, a relationship, a reputation. You said something in anger. You sent the message you shouldn't have. You quit when you should have paused. That's the price of reaction. Emotion is powerful, but it's blind. It doesn't see long-term consequences. It only wants relief now. But the person who observes sees everything. They don't get dragged into every storm. They watch the clouds, feel the wind, and decide whether to walk through or wait it out. In life, most people lose. Not because they lack intelligence, but because they can't control their emotional temperature. They turn sparks into fires. They let one comment ruin a day. They take things personally that were never personal. That's the trap. You want to master your emotions? Stop taking everything personally. Stop assuming every event deserves your reaction. Stop letting feelings dictate your next move. You have a choice, always. Live as a reactor or as an observer. Reactors burn bridges. Observers build strategy. Observation creates power. Observation gives you clarity. When you observe, you create distance. And distance gives you power. When you can see your emotion before it becomes action, you've already won half the battle. Picture it. Someone insults you. Instead of snapping back, you pause. You feel the heat rise in your chest. You breathe. You label it, that's anger. You observe it like a scientist, not a victim. And then something shifts. The emotion loses control over you. Observation interrupts the emotional loop. It's not suppression. It's awareness. You're refusing to let feelings make decisions for you. The more you practice, the more power you gain. Observation trains your mind to stay calm under fire. It builds distance, and distance builds dominance. Pause. Breathe. Observe. That's how warriors think. That's how leaders operate. That's how unshakable people are made. The real-world cost of reaction. Let's go deeper. In business, emotional reactions cost money. Leaders fire the wrong person. They send the wrong message. They lose deals because they couldn't stay composed. In relationships, reactive moments leave scars. Words spoken in anger. Doors slammed. Regret that lingers. Observation would have saved them. Even in daily life, traffic, comments online, family tension. People lose peace because they're addicted to reacting. It's not the situation that drains them. It's the habit of impulsiveness. Your mind becomes a battlefield. And your reaction, that's the bullet. You can't build peace with a reactive mind. You can't build consistency while emotionally unstable. That's the truth. So start catching yourself. Next time someone triggers you, ask, what if I didn't react right now? Watch what happens. You'll feel the power shift. Suddenly, you're in control. Not your emotions. Not their words. You. Observation is mental training. Observation isn't passive. It's training, the gym for your mind. Every pause, every deep breath, every delayed reaction, that's a rep. You're strengthening your emotional muscle. Because it's easy to react. It takes discipline to observe. It takes control to stay silent when provoked. It takes real power to stand still in the storm. That's why few people master it. Observation feels like weakness at first. It feels like doing nothing. But it's not nothing, it's strategy. You're buying time. Studying patterns. Learning. Observers don't rush to prove a point. They let others reveal themselves through reaction. That's intelligence. That's leverage. You have a choice. Be the one who reacts, or the one who reads the room. Be the one who breaks, or the one who watches calmly while others fall apart. That's the difference between noise and control. How to practice observation. Let's make it practical. Step 1. Create pause points. Before every major decision, argument, or conversation, pause. Count to 5. Observe your thoughts. Don't speak yet. Don't act yet. Let your emotions reveal themselves. Step 2. Label what you feel. When you're angry, admit it, this is anger. When you're anxious, say, this is fear. Naming emotion weakens its grip. Observation turns chaos into clarity. Step 3. Watch patterns. Notice what triggers you most: rejection, disrespect, criticism. Those triggers are teachers. They show you what you still need to master. Observation turns pain into a lesson. That's how you build control. Not by suppressing emotion, but by studying it. You become your own scientist, your own strategist, your own peacekeeper. Pause before you react. Breathe before you speak. Observe before you move. That's the formula. That's the code. The power in stillness. Silence is not weakness. Stillness is not inaction. It's the highest form of control. When you stay still in chaos, you let others show their cards. The impatient will always reveal themselves first. The reactive will always lose to the calm. The observer wins because they don't play the emotional game. They don't compete for attention. They don't seek validation. They don't need to prove anything. They see. They understand. They act only when it matters. That's emotional detachment in motion. That's the power of observing instead of reacting. You are not your reactions. You are the awareness behind them. When you start observing instead of reacting, life slows down. You notice patterns. You predict outcomes. You choose your responses. That's real control. That's real peace. Most people will spend their lives being triggered, drained, and distracted. But not you. You've learned the first rule of emotional mastery. Stop reacting. Start observing. You've reclaimed your mind. This is the foundation for everything that follows. Because power always starts with awareness. You can't change what you don't see. And now, you see clearly. You've mastered awareness. You've learned to pause, to breathe, to observe. Now it's time to talk about what you'll do with that control. Chapter 2. Emotion is energy. Learn to redirect it. Take a deep breath. Let's start with this truth. Emotions are not your enemy. They are not weakness. They are energy, pure, raw, unfiltered power. And here's something most people never really understand. You don't get to choose whether you feel. You only get to choose what you do with what you feel. That's the key. Every emotion carries a direction. Anger pushes. Fear freezes. Pain isolates. Excitement drives. But the real question is, are you driving your emotions, or are they driving you? Because every time a feeling rises, anger, jealousy, sadness, insecurity, you stand at a crossroads. One road leads to reaction. The other leads to redirection. Reaction is easy. It's automatic. Someone insults you, you snap. Something fails, you panic. Someone ignores you, you spiral. That's what 99% of people do. They live in constant reaction. But redirection, that's what the powerful do. That's what the disciplined do. They feel the same emotion, but instead of reacting, they reroute it. So don't waste energy reacting. Redirect it. When anger comes, don't explode, focus. When pain hits, don't collapse, build discipline. When anxiety shows up, don't hide, prepare. That's the formula. That's emotional alchemy, turning chaos into control. You see, energy doesn't disappear. It transforms. The rage that destroys could have been the fire that builds. The fear that paralyzes could have been the alertness that protects. The sadness that drains could have been the depth that strengthens. Your emotions are not accidents, they're resources. Stop labeling them as good or bad. Start seeing them as fuel. Think about it, every great athlete, every visionary, every leader you admire, they all felt emotion. They all felt fear. They all faced pain. But they refused to waste it. They turned it into motion, into focus, into fuel. Michael Jordan didn't avoid anger, he weaponized it. Serena Williams didn't suppress emotion, she directed it into precision. Elon Musk doesn't run from pressure, he channels it into performance. That's what separates the unstoppable from the unstable. Here's where most people go wrong. They think control means suppression. No. Control means direction. You don't fight emotion, you guide it. When you suppress, you're pretending. When you redirect, you're transforming. Suppression is weakness hiding behind composure. Redirection is power disguised as calm. You've seen that calm person in chaos, the one who doesn't flinch when everything falls apart. You might call it coldness. It's not. It's mastery. It's emotional detachment, not because they feel nothing, but because they own everything they feel. That's emotional power. So let's make it practical. You feel anger? Pause. Don't act. Don't speak. Just feel the heat rise. That's your energy coming online. Now aim it. Ask yourself, where does this belong? If it's about injustice, use it to build fairness. If it's about disrespect, use it to raise your standards. If it's about frustration, use it to fix the process. Redirect it. Don't waste energy reacting. Redirect it. Pain? That's your teacher. Every ache, every heartbreak, every failure, it's not punishment, it's preparation. When you hurt, that's your body telling you, it mattered. Now make it worth it. Don't sit in pain, study it. Extract the lesson. Turn it into resilience. Redirect it. Don't waste energy reacting. Redirect it. And then there's anxiety, the silent thief of peace. You think it's the enemy, but it's really a messenger. It's whispering, you're not ready, prepare. So prepare. Turn that racing heart into readiness. Turn that tension into training. Turn that worry into strategy. Redirect it. Don't waste energy reacting. Redirect it. Let's be clear, Emotional detachment doesn't mean emotional numbness. It's emotional intelligence in motion. It's you using emotion as data, not direction. Most people live backwards. They let emotion decide first, then logic explain later. You have to reverse that order. Let logic lead, and let emotion assist. That's what real calm is: logic in command, emotion in service. You have a choice. Every single time something happens, ask yourself, do I react or do I redirect? That one question can change your entire life. Because every moment you spend reacting, you give your power away. You let the outside world dictate your inner world. Someone cuts you off, they steal your peace. Someone rejects you, they steal your confidence. Someone gossips, they steal your focus. And the truth? You let them. You handed them the remote control to your emotions. Take it back. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you refuse to bleed energy where it doesn't grow you. Every time you react emotionally, you drain your life battery on something unworthy. Every time you redirect, you recharge that same battery into progress. That's the difference between exhaustion and elevation. Here's a reality check: life will not stop testing your emotions. You'll face betrayal, disrespect, uncertainty. And every time, you'll feel that wave rise again: anger, pain, anxiety. Good. That means you're alive. Now learn to surf the wave instead of drowning in it. Feel it. Name it. Redirect it. That's how warriors are made, not by escaping emotion, but by mastering it. You can't stop the rain, but you can walk through it without losing your direction. That's emotional detachment. So let's break it down. Emotion gives you signal. Thought gives you direction. Action gives you control. That's the sequence. Break it, and emotion runs wild. Respect it, and you run your life. So stop fearing your emotions. Start training them. Train anger into intensity. Train fear into awareness. Train sadness into empathy. Train anxiety into readiness. Don't waste energy reacting, redirect it. And remember, repetition is power. Every single day, you'll be tested. A rude comment. A delay. A setback. That's your cue. That's your training ground. Don't lose your cool. Don't lose your power. Smile. Breathe. Redirect. Because when you master your emotions, you master your energy. And when you master your energy, you become unstoppable. You're not here to suppress what you feel, you're here to elevate it. To transform it. To use it. Your emotions are the fuel for your evolution if you learn to control the current. That's how you stop drowning in your own waves. That's how you rise above chaos. That's how you become emotionally unshakable. Don't waste energy reacting, redirect it. Every single time. You've learned how to turn emotion into power, not panic. You've learned that control isn't coldness, it's clarity. That emotional detachment doesn't kill passion, it sharpens it. You're beginning to build the kind of calm that commands respect. But calm isn't just emotional, it's strategic. It's how you conserve power. It's how you create leverage. You've mastered your emotional energy. Now, it's time to master your presence. Chapter 3: Detachment is not coldness, it's clarity. People will call you cold when they can no longer control you. They'll say you're distant. When you stop overreacting, they'll whisper that you've changed. When you finally stop playing emotional games. But here's the truth. Detachment isn't coldness. It's clarity. It's calm vision in the middle of chaos. It's the ability to see things as they truly are, not as your feelings wish they were. Clarity over chaos. Logic over emotion. Mission over mood. That's the key. You've been told all your life to follow your heart. But the heart doesn't have a map, the mind does. Your emotions aren't facts. They're weather, changing from hour to hour. One moment you're confident. The next, you're afraid. One day you're motivated. The next, you're drained. If you live by that instability, you'll spend your life reacting, not directing. That's what emotional detachment protects you from. The storms of impulsive living. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring correctly. It means you stop wasting emotional energy on things that don't move you closer to your purpose. Clarity over chaos. Logic over emotion. Mission over mood. You always have a choice. When chaos hits, you can panic. Or you can see clearly. Look at the greatest leaders. The best athletes. The most resilient minds. They all share one thing: composure under pressure. Not because they feel nothing, but because they refuse to let feeling make the decision. When a Navy SEAL enters a hostile zone, he doesn't act out of fear, he acts out of clarity. When a CEO faces a billion-dollar crisis, she doesn't rely on emotion, she relies on information. When an athlete takes the game-winning shot, he's not thinking about nerves, he's thinking about execution. Emotion screams, do something now. Clarity whispers, do the right thing. That's detachment. That's control. That's power. Most people confuse detachment with indifference. They think if you're not visibly emotional, you're heartless. But detachment isn't apathy, it's discipline. It's not distance, it's direction. You're not detached because you don't care. You're detached because you care too much to let emotion destroy what truly matters. You don't ignore pain, you interpret it. You don't deny emotion, you decode it. You don't suppress your heart, you steer it. That's the difference between chaos and control. Clarity over chaos. Logic over emotion. Mission over mood. Let's bring it down to real life. Imagine you run a business. Sales are falling. Your team is panicking. Everything feels like it's collapsing. If you let emotion lead, you'll start blaming, reacting, maybe even quitting. But when you stay detached, you analyze. You measure. You think. You see facts, not fear. You say, this isn't personal, it's structural. What can be fixed? What can be learned? That's detachment in motion. Clarity guiding the storm. Now imagine an athlete. They miss a crucial shot. The crowd boos. The pressure builds. Emotion says, you failed. Detachment says, reset. Breathe. Focus on the next play. See the pattern? Detachment gives you control of yourself when everything else is out of control. That's real power. The reactive mind collapses under pressure. The detached mind calculates. That's the difference between failure and growth. When you're detached, you don't react to insult, you observe the weakness behind it. You don't chase validation, you recognize manipulation. You don't fight every battle, you save your strength for the wars that matter. Clarity gives you choice. And choice is control. You have that choice. To live like a storm, or to live like the eye inside it. Now let's go deeper. Detachment is clarity. And clarity is strategy. You can't build your future if you're consumed by the noise of now. You can't make wise decisions if you're ruled by temporary feelings. The person who wins in life isn't the loudest, it's the one who sees the furthest. When you detach from emotional chaos, you start to notice patterns others miss. You understand people better. You stop taking things personally, because you realize most people act out of their confusion, not your mistakes. You stop being offended. You start being aware. You stop arguing. You start analyzing. You stop chasing approval. You start choosing alignment. That's what clarity gives you. Freedom from emotional exhaustion. Understand this. Your emotional reaction is someone else's opportunity. Every time you overreact, someone profits from your chaos. Marketers use it. Manipulators use it. Weak people use it. If they can trigger your feelings, they can control your focus. Detachment breaks that control. When you stop reacting, they lose leverage. When you stay calm, they lose access. When you act from logic, they lose power. Clarity over chaos. Logic over emotion. Mission over mood. So, how do you practice detachment? Step 1. Pause before responding. The pause is power. It gives you control over impulse. Step 2. Ask yourself, what's the mission here? Purpose keeps you from wasting energy on distractions. Step 3. Speak less. Observe more. Detachment grows in silence. Silence brings clarity. Step 4. Separate the event from the emotion. What happened? That's the fact. How you feel? That's the interpretation. Never mix the two. Step 5. Always return to your center. Your logic, your values, your vision. That's your anchor when emotion tries to pull you away. You don't need to be unfeeling. You need to be unshaken. That's the difference. Clarity doesn't make you less human. It makes you more effective. The calm person isn't the one who feels less. It's the one who manages more. When you live detached, you stop wasting energy on extremes. You stop swinging between I'm unstoppable and I'm worthless. You find balance. You find stability. You find power in neutrality. Because neutrality isn't weakness, it's focus. You don't need to prove passion through panic. You don't need to prove empathy through exhaustion. You just need to stay clear. Clarity over chaos. Logic over emotion. Mission over mood. The world rewards those who stay calm in crisis. It trusts those who keep their vision when everyone else loses theirs. That's what detachment gives you. The ability to think when others freeze. You can't lead if you're reactive. You can't grow if you're emotional about every challenge. And you can't stay strong if you let chaos dictate your choices. Detach. See clearly. Decide calmly. Act decisively. That's leadership. That's power. That's detachment in motion. Remember this. Clarity will always look like coldness to the confused. But that's not your problem. You're not here to please emotion. You're here to pursue excellence. People who misunderstand your calm don't understand your mission. Let them talk. Let them assume. You don't need their permission. You need your focus. It's not about being cold, it's about being clear. Not about avoiding emotion, but mastering it. Not about separation, but elevation. Clarity over chaos. Logic over emotion. Mission over mood. That's the key. That's emotional detachment. You've learned how to see through emotion and act with clarity. You've learned that detachment isn't distance. It's dominance over the inner storm. You've learned that calmness is a weapon, not a weakness. But remember, clarity means nothing without consistency. Because true detachment isn't proven in quiet. It's proven under fire. You've mastered calm under pressure. Now, it's time to master the one thing that amplifies your strength, in silence. Chapter 4: Stop trying to control people. You can't control people. You can only control your reaction. That's the truth most people refuse to accept. And that refusal is the source of almost all emotional pain. You're not exhausted because life is hard. You're exhausted because you're trying to manage what was never yours to manage. Other people's behavior, their choices, their opinions, their moods. That's not strength. That's slavery. The greatest emotional prison is the illusion of control. The belief that if you say the right words, do the right things, or give enough effort, you can make someone change. You can't. People don't change because you demand it. They change because they decide to. And until they make that decision, your peace is not their responsibility. It's yours. You can't control others. You can only control your reaction. That's the key. Think about how much energy you've wasted trying to convince, correct, or control someone who had no intention of understanding you. How many sleepless nights you've spent replaying conversations, rewriting outcomes, wishing someone would just see it your way. That's energy lost to an illusion. You're not destiny. You're not God. You're human with limited time, limited strength, and unlimited potential only when your energy is focused where it belongs. Inside you. Every moment you try to control someone else's actions, you abandon control of your own emotions. Every time you try to force someone to change, you forfeit your peace. You have a choice. Chase their chaos or protect your clarity. That's the difference between a reactive life and a powerful one. Emotional control begins where your need to control others ends. The less you try to manage people, the freer you become. Because you finally understand. People reveal who they are without your interference. You don't need to expose anyone. You don't need to argue, prove, or punish. You just need to observe. People always show you the truth. Not through promises, but through patterns. Not through what they say, but through what they consistently do. Let them show you. Let them be who they are. And instead of trying to control their behavior, control your access. That's emotional discipline. That's maturity. That's freedom. You can't control others. You can only control your reaction. You can't stop people from lying, but you can stop giving them your trust. You can't stop people from disrespecting you, but you can stop giving them your time. You can't stop people from walking away, but you can stop chasing after them. Control doesn't come from dominance. It comes from detachment. You control situations by controlling yourself. That's the key. The person who can't stop trying to control people is a person afraid of uncertainty, afraid of letting things unfold naturally, afraid of the silence that follows letting go. But control is an illusion, and peace lives on the other side of surrender. The more you release, the more power returns to you. Because when you stop managing others, you start managing yourself. You start redirecting your energy toward growth. You start building boundaries instead of battles. You start realizing peace isn't found in perfection. It's found in letting go. Here's the hard truth. The need to control others is rooted in fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of abandonment. Fear of unpredictability. But you can't build a powerful life on fear. You build it on acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean approval. It means understanding reality without emotional distortion. It means looking at people and saying, "This is who they are. Now, what will I do with that truth?" Because that's where your power begins. In response, not reaction. You can't control others. You can only control your reaction. Let's go deeper. When someone disrespects you, your emotions say, "I'll make them understand." When someone pulls away, your ego says, "I'll make them stay." When someone chooses differently, your pride says, "I'll make them see I was right." But that's not strength. That's insecurity wearing a mask. The powerful person doesn't chase, convince, or control. They observe. They adjust. They move on. You don't need to fix people to prove your worth. You don't need to manage others to maintain your peace. You just need to stay aligned with your mission. Clarity over chaos. Logic over emotion. Mission over mood. That's how you win. Here's what emotional control looks like in real life. Someone disappoints you, instead of lecturing, you learn. Someone betrays you, instead of chasing closure, you create distance. Someone ignores your value, instead of lowering your standards, you raise your boundaries. That's power. That's discipline. That's growth. You can't control others. You can only control your reaction. Every time you choose not to react, you gain more peace. Every time you choose not to argue, you gain more energy. Every time you choose not to fix someone, you gain more focus. You stop bleeding emotionally for people who don't want to heal. You stop fighting for relationships that don't fight for you. You stop confusing attachment with loyalty. That's the shift. That's maturity. And understand this. People only respect what you stop tolerating. When you stop controlling, you start commanding. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you stop forcing, you start flowing. Let people go if they want to. Let them act how they want to. Let them reveal who they are without your interference. Your job isn't to change them. Your job is to protect you. Protect your energy. Protect your standards. Protect your peace. You can't fix broken people by breaking your own boundaries. You can't lead others to growth if you're still managing their emotions. It's not about control, it's about clarity. Not about dominance, but discipline. That's the key. When you finally stop trying to control people, you'll feel something you haven't felt in a long time. Peace. Peace because you realize not every battle needs your sword. Not every disagreement needs your voice. Not every loss needs your explanation. Sometimes silence is the loudest proof of strength. Sometimes distance is the clearest form of self-respect. Sometimes walking away is the most powerful statement you can make. You can't control others. You can only control your reaction. And the more you master that, the stronger your inner world becomes. So here's your challenge. Start observing where your energy goes. Who are you trying to fix? Who are you trying to convince? Who are you trying to control? Then stop. Let it go. Let them be who they are. Your peace depends on your ability to detach. from what's not your job to manage. Your power depends on your ability to stay calm when others lose control. You have a choice to stay trapped in emotional reaction or to rise into emotional discipline. That's how you reclaim your freedom. You don't need to prove. You don't need to chase. You don't need to persuade. You don't need their permission. You just need your peace. You can't control others. You can only control your reaction. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. You've learned how to stop trying to change people and start mastering your own responses. You've learned that peace begins where control ends. You've learned that letting go isn't weakness, it's wisdom. But emotional control doesn't just mean silence or surrender. It means knowing how to conserve your strength. When to move, when to speak, when to hold back. You've learned how to stop controlling others. Now, it's time to learn how to control your energy itself. Chapter 5: The Silent Power of Indifference. Indifference is not weakness. It's strength under control. You need to understand that truth deeply, because most people get it wrong. They think indifference means not caring. They think it's apathy, a cold detachment. But real indifference? It's power. It's the discipline of not letting meaningless things rule your emotions. Indifference doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you choose where your energy goes. It means you stop feeding what drains you. You stop giving attention to what doesn't serve your peace, your progress, or your purpose. Indifference is focus. Indifference is freedom. Every single day, the world will tempt you to care about everything. Every insult, every opinion, every comparison, every false urgency. Because the world feeds on your reaction. The weak take the bait. The strong stay still. That's the key. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. They called it apatheia, not apathy, but mastery over destructive emotion. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That's the essence of indifference. Understanding that most of life is noise, and that your real control begins and ends with your response. You don't need to chase every argument. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to attend every emotional fight you're invited to. You have a choice to respond or to remain unmoved. Because here's the truth. When you react to everything, you give away your power. When you stay indifferent, you keep your center. Indifference is not weakness. It's strength under control. Picture this. Two people in the same storm. One screams, flails, and curses the rain. The other quietly pulls up his hood and keeps walking. The storm hits them both, but only one keeps his peace. Only one saves his strength. That's life. You can't control the weather of other people's moods, opinions, or behavior. But you can control your own climate. You can choose calm. You can choose clarity. That's indifference in action. Let's make it practical. Someone criticizes you. Twist your words. Maybe they post something about you online. Your ego wants to defend itself. You want to prove them wrong. But pause. Ask yourself, does this matter to my mission? Does this add to my peace or my purpose? If the answer is no, let it go. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. The strongest people don't fight every battle. They save their energy for the wars that matter. Every time you react to nonsense, you're teaching yourself to be reactive. Every time you stay indifferent, you're training your discipline. You're building emotional independence. So you have to decide. Do you want to live in constant reaction or quiet control? Indifference is not emotional numbness. It's emotional intelligence. It's knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. When you stop caring about everything, you start focusing on what truly matters. When you stop trying to please everyone, you start respecting yourself. When you stop chasing validation, you start finding strength. Indifference sharpens your vision. It filters your focus. It clears the noise so you can finally hear your own conviction. You don't need their permission to be peaceful. You don't need their validation to stay on your path. You don't need to explain your silence. Because silence speaks louder than arguments. Indifference builds power because it builds restraint. And restraint is control. Think about the most disciplined athletes. The calmest leaders. They don't panic when things fall apart. They don't react to every emotion in the room. They stay composed, strategic, grounded. That's not arrogance, that's mastery. Their indifference is deliberate. They've learned that reacting emotionally only feeds chaos. You want to be that person. The one who stays still when others lose control. The one who doesn't flinch when chaos pulls at them. That's true emotional control, not the absence of feeling, but the presence of focus. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every event deserves your reaction. Not every invitation deserves your presence. When you start saying no to the noise, you finally say yes to your clarity. That's the quiet discipline of indifference. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's calm, patient, steady. Because when you can remain still while everyone else is restless, you gain an edge. You see what others miss. You think clearly while they panic. That's the power of indifference, clarity under pressure. Think of it like minimalism, but for your mind. Minimalism isn't just about fewer possessions. It's about fewer distractions. Emotional minimalism is the same. When you stop caring about every drama, every trend, every opinion, you make space for what truly matters. When you stop reacting to temporary noise, you create time for permanent growth. Indifference is mental minimalism. It's clearing your emotional room so you can breathe again. Peace isn't something you find. It's something you protect. You can't have peace if everyone has access to your emotions. You can't have peace if every insult pierces your soul. You can't have peace if you care too much about being liked. The truth is, not everyone will like you. Not everyone will understand you. And that's okay. You don't need them to. Peace begins where approval ends. Indifference gives you that peace, not because you don't care, but because you finally know what's worth caring about. So here's your practice. Start using selective indifference. When something irritates you, pause. Ask, does this deserve my peace? When someone provokes you, ask, do I need to attend this fight? When life tests you, ask, will reacting change the outcome? If the answer is no, stay still. Breathe. Walk away. That's not running. That's ruling your emotions, your focus, your life. You don't need to fight to prove your strength. You don't need to shout to prove your truth. You don't need to react to prove your power. True strength is silent. True control is calm. True indifference is mastery. It's not about ignoring life, it's about mastering your emotional priorities. Because the moment you stop caring about everything is the moment you gain control of yourself. And when you control yourself, no one can control you. That's real power. The quiet kind. The kind that doesn't need attention, it speaks through composure. Indifference is not weakness. It's strength under control. You've learned how to detach, how to stop controlling others, and how to protect your peace through indifference. You're becoming grounded, centered, unshakable. But there's one more step, the final step. Because calm means nothing without consistency. You've learned how to find peace. Now it's time to learn how to keep it. Chapter 6: Master the Art of Walking Away. When you can walk away, you hold the power. That's not just a quote. That's a code. A law of strength that few truly live by. Because walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's control. It's freedom. The world has trained you to believe that holding on is strength. That fighting for everything is noble. That staying attached, no matter how toxic, no matter how draining, is what strong people do. But that's a lie. True strength is the opposite. True strength is knowing when to walk away. Because when you can walk away, you prove you don't depend on chaos for purpose. You prove your peace is not for sale. You prove that your self-worth isn't tied to anyone's validation. You have a choice: stay stuck in cycles that drain you, or choose yourself. That's the key. Walking away is not giving up. It's leveling up. Let's get that straight. You're not quitting when you walk away from what doesn't serve you. You're choosing growth over comfort. You're choosing discipline over drama. In relationships, people stay long after the love is gone because they fear being alone. In jobs, people stay in environments that kill their spirit because they fear uncertainty. In arguments, people keep talking long after the truth is lost because they fear being misunderstood. But here's the truth: staying stuck doesn't make you loyal. It makes you trapped. You have to learn to walk away, not with bitterness, but with clarity. Not with ego, but with peace. Not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about yourself. When you can walk away, you hold the power. You have to stop romanticizing endurance in places that require escape. There's a difference between patience and punishment, between perseverance and paralysis. Discipline isn't about staying no matter what. Discipline is about knowing when something no longer aligns with your values, your mission, or your growth, and having the courage to move on. It's not about pride. It's about principle. It's not about ego. It's about energy. Walking away is not a reaction, it's a decision. A clear, conscious act of control. And that's what emotional mastery looks like. The ability to stay calm, choose clarity, and move forward without the need to win, explain, or prove. Let's look at real life. In relationships, romantic, professional, or social, people often cling because they fear loss. They think walking away means failure. But staying in the wrong relationship costs you more than leaving ever will. Every time you tolerate disrespect, you teach others how to treat you. Every time you stay silent in the face of manipulation, you reinforce your own powerlessness. Every time you hold on to what's breaking you, you weaken your foundation. You can't build peace on unstable ground. Sometimes, the most courageous thing you can do is walk away from what's familiar. Because comfort is a cage disguised as safety. You have a choice: stay comfortable and broken, or uncomfortable and free. When you can walk away, you hold the power. In your career, the same principle applies. Too many people cling to toxic workplaces, abusive bosses, or unfulfilling careers because they're addicted to security. But security without sanity is slavery. Your paycheck means nothing if it costs your peace. Your title means nothing if it destroys your purpose. Your stability means nothing if it kills your soul. When you stay in a place that drains you, you're not being responsible, you're being afraid. And fear is the enemy of freedom. You have to be willing to walk away from what limits you, even if it looks stable. You have to bet on yourself. That's the mindset of power, choosing uncertainty over stagnation, purpose over paycheck, growth over comfort. When you can walk away, you hold the power. The weak cling. The strong release. Clinging is about fear, fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of uncertainty. But walking away is about trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in the process. Trust that your peace matters more than your pride. You don't need to prove your point. You don't need to win the argument. You don't need to fix everyone. You only need to protect your state. That's emotional discipline. That's maturity. You can't control people, but you can control when you leave the room. You can't control outcomes, but you can control what you allow to consume you. You can't control the storm, but you can walk out of it. And sometimes, walking away is the most powerful statement of all. Because silence screams louder than confrontation ever could. Walking away doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care too much about your peace to let it be destroyed. You can love someone and still recognize they're not right for your growth. You can respect a job and still know it's not aligned with your mission. You can care deeply and still walk away peacefully. That's the paradox of strength. You can hold compassion and boundaries at the same time. It's not about coldness. It's about clarity. Clarity over chaos. Logic over emotion. Mission over mood. That's the code of emotional control. That's the foundation of mental toughness. When you can walk away, you hold the power. Now, let's talk about timing, because walking away isn't always immediate. Sometimes you plan your exit. You prepare in silence. You gather strength. You wait for the right moment. That's still walking away, strategically. It's not about running. It's about readiness. When you move from clarity, not anger, your exit becomes powerful. Because power is calm. Power is measured. Power is deliberate. And the best kind of walking away isn't loud, it's quiet, confident, and final. That's when people realize you were the peace they couldn't protect. Here's what you must stop doing. Stop trying to convince people to see your worth. Stop arguing with people who already decided not to understand you. Stop explaining your decisions to those who never respected them. You don't need their permission. You don't need their validation. You don't need to prove your peace. Your peace is your proof. Walking away doesn't require a speech. It requires a standard. When you set that standard, your silence becomes strength. That's the essence of walking away, quiet strength. Let's make it practical. Start small. Walk away from arguments that go nowhere. Walk away from conversations that drain your energy. Walk away from habits that keep you small. Walk away from any environment where your growth feels like a threat. Each time you walk away from what doesn't align with your higher self, you make room for what does. Each time you refuse to settle, you train your mind to value peace over attachment. Each time you choose yourself, you strengthen your self-respect. That's not selfish. That's survival. When you can walk away, you hold the power. The truth is, walking away is the final test of self-control. Because anyone can stay when it's easy. Anyone can react when it's emotional. But only the strong can stay calm, say nothing, and leave. That's mastery. That's maturity. You have to learn this art, the art of graceful exits. No burning bridges. No bitterness. No revenge. Just clarity. Boundaries. And peace. The world will always try to pull you back into arguments, into drama, into old versions of yourself. But you're not required to attend every battle. You're not obligated to fight for what's already lost. You're not meant to stay where your growth is unwelcome. You have a choice. And when you choose to walk away, you take back every ounce of power you once gave away, trying to be understood, accepted, or approved. When you can walk away, you hold the power. So remember, walking away isn't escape. It's evolution. You're not losing something. You're shedding something. You're not giving up. You're growing up. Because strength isn't in holding on. It's in letting go with grace. You've learned to detach. You've learned to stay indifferent. And now you've learned to walk away with power, peace, and clarity. But there's one more lesson waiting. One that turns control into true inner freedom. You've learned when to step away. Now, it's time to learn how to stay steady, no matter what. Chapter 7. Discipline your emotional triggers. Trigger recognized. Reaction neutralized. Power retained. That's the formula. That's the system for emotional mastery. That's the difference between the person who controls their life and the one who keeps losing control of it. You can't call yourself disciplined if your emotions still dictate your behavior. You can't claim mental toughness if every trigger pulls you out of character. And you can't build peace if every button someone presses sends you into chaos. You always have a choice: react impulsively or respond intelligently. That's the key. Because every time you react, you surrender control. Every time you get triggered, you give away your power. And every time you explode, argue, or lash out, you confirm what emotional immaturity looks like. Letting your environment decide your emotions. But here's the truth: your triggers aren't your enemies. They're mirrors. They're signals. They're teachers. They reveal what's still unhealed. They show you where you still need growth. They remind you of what still controls you. And until you learn to discipline your emotional triggers, you'll remain a puppet in someone else's play. Let's be honest, you've been here before. Someone says something careless, and suddenly your mood collapses. A random comment online ruins your entire day. A small rejection spirals into self-doubt. And just like that, one emotional moment overrides hours, even days, of progress. That's not control. That's captivity. You can't afford to live like that. Not if you want peace. Not if you want focus. Not if you want power. So let's start here: awareness. You can't discipline what you don't understand. And you can't master what you don't observe. That's the first step: observe your triggers. What situations cause your pulse to rise? What words ignite your anger? What memories still control your reactions? Every trigger has a story behind it, a belief, a wound, a pattern. It's not about blaming the past. It's about recognizing its fingerprints on your present. Because until you identify the trigger, you can't neutralize it. Trigger recognized. Reaction neutralized. Power retained. Here's the truth about triggers. They're automatic programs. They live in your subconscious. You don't think them, you feel them. You don't choose them, you react to them. And that's why awareness alone isn't enough. You must reprogram your response. How? Through reflection and repetition. Reflection shows you what the trigger means. Repetition rewires your response to it. For example, if criticism triggers you, it's not the words that hurt. It's the wound of needing approval. So instead of reacting, pause. Instead of defending, breathe. Instead of arguing, observe. That's how you rewrite the program, by breaking the pattern. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally disciplined. You have to train your mind to say, "This feeling is not a command. This emotion is not the truth. This moment does not define me." That's discipline. That's power. Let's make this real. Imagine you're in a meeting. Someone disrespects your work. The old you wants to argue, prove, and defend. But the disciplined you pauses. You don't take the bait. You recognize the trigger. You neutralize it. You retain your power. Because silence in that moment isn't weakness, it's dominance. That's self-control in action. Or picture this, someone ignores your message and you spiral into frustration. But instead of feeding that emotion, you step back. You remind yourself, my peace doesn't depend on their response. Trigger recognized. Reaction neutralized. Power retained. Every time you choose control over reaction, you strengthen your mental armor. You build a new identity, one rooted in calm, clarity, and confidence. That's emotional fitness. That's emotional strength. You don't need to eliminate emotion, you need to command it. But let's talk about why triggers are so powerful. They're tied to ego. The ego hates being challenged. It hates feeling rejected, ignored, or disrespected. So every trigger your ego feels is really fear disguised as pride. Someone disrespects you, your ego screams, "Defend yourself." Someone criticizes you, your ego shouts, "Prove them wrong." Someone ignores you, your ego whispers, "You're not enough." And that's where discipline steps in. You have to treat your ego like a wild animal, powerful, but impulsive. If you let it run unchecked, it'll destroy everything. But if you train it, it becomes your strength. So the next time your ego reacts, don't follow it. Watch it. Pause and say to yourself, "This is my training moment." That's how you build control in real time. Remember, the goal isn't to win arguments. The goal is to win yourself. You can't be emotionally free if you're emotionally reactive. Here's a simple practice. Next time you feel triggered, don't speak. Don't respond. Just breathe. Give yourself 5 seconds of awareness. 5 seconds to shift from impulse to intention. 5 seconds to take back control. Because in those 5 seconds, everything changes. You go from chaos to clarity. From emotion to logic. From reaction to response. It's not easy, but it's possible. And every time you practice it, you rewire your nervous system. You train your brain to respond differently. You're not suppressing emotion, you're mastering it. Remember, silence isn't the absence of emotion. It's the expression of strength. Trigger recognized. Reaction neutralized. Power retained. Now, let's go deeper, because triggers don't just live in people. They live in your habits. In your environments. In your memories. Some triggers come from fatigue. Some from stress. Some from old pain that's never been healed. That's why self-awareness isn't luxury, it's discipline. You can't fix what you refuse to face. You can't grow through what you keep avoiding. Every time you get triggered, life hands you a mirror and says, "Look here." This still controls you. And you have 2 options, react or reflect. React and repeat the cycle. Reflect and break it. That's how emotional maturity is built, through consistent reflection. Not perfection. Progress. Each trigger you master is one less chain on your piece. Let's talk about repetition, because this is where the real rewiring happens. You don't overcome triggers through motivation. You overcome them through repetition. By consistently choosing calm over chaos. By training your mind to expect peace instead of panic. Each time you pause before reacting, you carve a new pathway in your brain, one of restraint, clarity, and control. That's how habits form. That's how emotional intelligence is built. It's the same principle athletes use when they train. Repetition makes mastery automatic. You have to make peace your default. That's not emotionless. That's evolved. Here's what you must remember: every trigger is an opportunity. An opportunity to learn where you still need healing. An opportunity to practice self-control. An opportunity to rise above the old version of yourself. When someone tries to provoke you, and you stay calm, you win. When life throws chaos your way and you don't flinch, you win. When your past shows up but you no longer react, you win. Because that's real growth. Not loud. Not dramatic. But disciplined. That's what mental toughness looks like in real life. You don't always need to fight. You don't always need to respond. You don't always need to prove. Sometimes strength is saying nothing. Sometimes maturity is walking away. Sometimes peace is the only victory that matters. Trigger recognized. Reaction neutralized. Power retained. You have a choice every single day. You can be the person who gets triggered by everything, or the one who responds to nothing that doesn't deserve attention. You can let people control your emotions, or decide they'll never have that power again. That's emotional discipline. That's maturity. That's freedom. And it all begins with a single moment of awareness. One pause that rewires years of reaction. You don't need their approval. You don't need to win every battle. You just need to keep your peace. Because peace is power. And control is freedom. So the next time your emotions flare, remember your code. Trigger recognized. Reaction neutralized. Power retained. You've learned to see your emotions as signals, not enemies. You've learned to observe, pause, and redirect. You've built control from chaos. But there's another step, the one that separates those who master their emotions from those who master their entire existence. You've learned how to calm the storm. Now, it's time to learn how to stay still inside it. Chapter 8: Detach from outcomes, focus on process. You can't control the outcome. You can only control the process. That's the truth most people spend their whole lives trying to escape. They believe if they just worry hard enough, plan long enough, or visualize perfectly enough, the result will bend to their will. But it won't. Life doesn't reward obsession with outcomes. It rewards obsession with effort. That's the key. When you attach your peace to results, you hand your power away. Every missed target becomes personal. Every delay feels like defeat. Every failure feels like the end. You start believing that success depends on controlling external factors, timing, people, approval, validation. But the tighter you grip the outcome, the faster it slips away. You lose your calm. You lose your discipline. You lose your center. Because here's the truth, you never had control in the first place. The greatest athletes, soldiers, and leaders all know this simple law of life. You can't control the finish line. You can only control each step that gets you there. That's process. That's discipline. That's mastery. Detach from results. Master the process. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. It's not about finishing first, it's about showing up fully. It's not about guarantees, it's about commitment. You have a choice. Live by emotion or live by execution. When you attach yourself to results, desperation takes over. You start chasing validation instead of excellence, comparing instead of improving, forcing instead of flowing. Every rejection feels like a personal insult. Every setback feels like a verdict. Every failure feels like proof that you're not enough. That's what attachment does. It builds an invisible prison. You start believing that happiness comes after success. That peace comes after the win. That rest comes after you achieve. But that's a lie. You can be grounded in peace while you pursue greatness. That's the gift of detachment, freedom within effort. Military leaders call it trusting the mission. They train for the fight, but they don't obsess over the outcome. Because in battle, fixation kills. When you panic about what might happen, you stop focusing on what is happening. The soldier doesn't ask, "Will I win?" He asks, "What's my next move?" That's process thinking. That's discipline in motion. Detach from results. Master the process. Think about the top athletes in the world. On game day, they're not thinking about the trophy. They're not calculating the money, the endorsements, or the headlines. They're locked into the moment, breath, rhythm, focus, execution. The crowd disappears. The noise fades. Only the process remains. That's why they perform higher than anyone else. Because they understand something powerful. The outcome isn't theirs to control, but the effort always is. That's the mental edge separating the great from the average. You have to learn to love the work without needing the applause. To show up even when nobody's watching. To execute without emotion. Because outcomes are unpredictable. Processes are repeatable. When you commit to the process, you win no matter what happens. Why? Because every day you show up, you grow. Every repetition builds skill. Every disciplined action rewires your mind. That's how peace is built, not from guarantees, but from grounded effort. So ask yourself, why do you panic when things don't go your way? Why do you lose control when results delay? It's because your identity is tied to outcomes. And that's dangerous. You say, if I win, I'm enough. If I fail, I'm not. But you were never defined by the scoreboard. You're defined by your discipline. It's not about success. It's about self-control. Not about approval. It's about alignment. Not about reward. It's about repetition. Detach from results. Master the process. Here's what that looks like in real life. You wake up. You train. You eat clean. You study. You write. You build. You focus on the small, unglamorous steps that move you forward. And when you fail, because you will, you don't spiral. You assess. You adjust. You return to work. You stop asking, did it work? And start asking, did I execute? Because the first depends on luck. The second depends on discipline. And that shift? It will change your life. When you stop chasing results, anxiety fades. When you stop comparing progress, focus sharpens. When you stop clinging to control, confidence grows. You find joy in the routine, calm in the repetition, power in the discipline. And the paradox is this: the more you detach from the outcome, the better your outcomes become. Why? Because your energy is finally where it belongs, in the now. You're not distracted by fear or fantasy. You're fully engaged with the task in front of you. That's when mastery happens. That's when flow happens. That's when greatness happens. Detach from results. Master the process. Here's what you must understand. Attachment creates suffering. Detachment creates strength. When you attach your peace to outcomes, you live in emotional chaos. You become reactive to everything: success, failure, praise, criticism. Your mood swings with the world. But when you detach, you stay stable. You don't collapse when things fall apart. You don't inflate when things go right. You stay centered. You stay grounded. You stay free. That's mental toughness. That's emotional control. That's the discipline of process. And listen, this isn't about giving up goals. It's about changing your relationship with them. You can still dream big. You can still chase excellence. But you stop needing the win to validate your worth. You stop demanding perfection from the world. You stop treating failure like death. You build a quiet confidence that says, I'm focused on what I can control, the rest will handle itself. That's how you detach without becoming passive. That's how you focus without becoming frantic. That's how you grow without burning out. Detach from results. Master the process. You have a choice. You can keep living at the mercy of outcomes, constantly anxious, constantly comparing, constantly dissatisfied. Or you can reclaim your power. You can choose the path of discipline, where peace is built through daily control of your focus, your time, and your effort. That's the path of mental warriors. That's the mindset of emotional freedom. Remember this. It's not about the finish line. It's about how you run the race. It's not about what you get. It's about who you become. Detach from results. Master the process. That's how you win, quietly, steadily, endlessly. You've learned to stop chasing outcomes. Now it's time to confront something deeper, the inner resistance that tries to pull you off course. That voice that whispers, rest later. Focus tomorrow. You've done enough. It's time to destroy that comfort zone. Because comfort is the silent killer of discipline. Chapter 9. Protect your energy like it's currency. Energy is currency. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every reaction you give, it all costs something. The question is, are you investing your energy or wasting it? Most people spend their emotional energy like it's infinite. They react to every comment. They argue every opinion. They chase every distraction. And then they wonder why they feel drained, anxious, and empty. It's simple, they've gone broke emotionally. They've spent their peace on things that never paid them back. Your energy determines your focus. Your focus determines your direction. And your direction determines your destiny. That's the chain. Break the first link and everything else falls apart. You have a choice. You can live like your energy is cheap, or you can guard it like it's gold. That's the key. Every reaction is an expense. Every argument is a withdrawal. Every unnecessary drama is emotional debt. You're not just losing time when you get angry, you're losing power. You're not just wasting minutes when you scroll endlessly, you're wasting momentum. You're not just losing focus when you try to please everyone, you're losing yourself. Protect your energy. Preserve your peace. Prioritize your purpose. Think about it like a bank account. Every morning you wake up with a limited balance of emotional energy. Let's say 100 units. You spend 20 worrying about what people think. You spend 10 checking who liked your post. You spend 30 arguing over things that don't matter. And by noon, you're broke. No wonder you feel tired before the day's even half done. You didn't lose motivation, you lost management. You don't need more time. You need tighter boundaries. High performers understand this. They treat energy like money, intentionally, strategically, carefully. They don't respond to everything. They don't attend every argument. They don't explain themselves to people committed to misunderstanding them. Why? Because they understand the cost. Every reaction has a price tag. Every emotional battle has a toll. Every unnecessary engagement steals focus from their mission. So they ask one simple question before they respond. Is this worth my energy? Most of the time, the answer is no. That's discipline. That's mastery. That's freedom. Protecting your energy doesn't mean isolation. It means discernment. It means knowing who and what deserves your attention. It means filtering out noise so you can focus on what truly matters. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not every problem requires your response. Not every emotion deserves expression. That's how you protect your peace without apology. You don't need their permission. You don't owe anyone your reaction. Protect your energy. Preserve your peace. Prioritize your purpose. Look around you for a moment. How much of your life is spent reacting to things that have nothing to do with your growth? You argue with strangers online. You dwell on conversations from 3 days ago. You replay insults in your head like they deserve rent-free space. That's emotional poverty. Every second you spend reliving offense is a second you're not building your future. Every moment you waste proving a point is a moment you lose proving your purpose. Stop giving discounts on your peace. Stop offering your energy to everything that moves. Stop bankrupting yourself to prove you're right. You have nothing to prove. You have everything to protect. Here's the truth. People will always try to pull from you. They'll project their frustration. They'll bait you into drama. They'll guilt you for setting boundaries. But that's not your problem. Their reaction to your peace is their exposure, not your burden. Their discomfort with your boundaries reveals their entitlement, not your selfishness. You don't need their approval to protect your energy. You only need your awareness. Because once you see the pattern, you stop participating in it. Once you understand the cost, you stop paying it. Protect your energy. Preserve your peace. Prioritize your purpose. Let's make this practical. Step 1. Audit your drains. Write down the people, habits, and environments that deplete you. Ask yourself, does this energize me or exhaust me? Keep what feeds you. Release what bleeds you. Step 2. Set boundaries without guilt. Silence notifications. Say no without explaining. Walk away when peace requires distance. Remember, protecting your energy isn't selfish. It's strategic. Step 3. Build habits that recharge you. Morning solitude. Deep work sessions. Time away from screens. Refill your emotional bank daily. Step 4. Stop reacting. Start responding. Pause before you speak. Breathe before you reply. Ask yourself, does this align with my peace? If it doesn't, disengage. You have a choice every single day. To defend your energy or to donate it to chaos. Choose discipline. Choose stillness. Choose peace. Energy protection is emotional maturity. It's understanding that every reaction has a consequence. It's realizing that every battle costs energy, and not every battle deserves it. Strong people don't react, they choose. They don't respond to noise, they rise above it. They don't chase validation, they move with conviction. Because it's not about ego, it's about efficiency. It's not about control, it's about clarity. It's not about looking strong, it's about staying strong. Protect your energy. Preserve your peace. Prioritize your purpose. Your energy shapes your world. If your energy is chaotic, your life will mirror that chaos. If your energy is focused, your path becomes clear. You attract what you are. If you live drained, you'll draw more draining situations. If you live grounded, you'll attract opportunities that match your stability. That's not mysticism. That's momentum. Energy doesn't lie. Your tone, your body language, your focus, all of it communicates how you value yourself. When you protect your energy, people feel it. When you stop giving away your peace, they start respecting your presence. Boundaries teach others how to treat you. But more importantly, they teach you how to treat yourself. So, what's the takeaway? Stop leaking energy into low-value exchanges. Stop emotionally overspending on things that don't move you forward. Stop reacting to everything that demands your attention. You have limited emotional capital. Spend it wisely. Invest it in purpose. Invest it in growth. Invest it in becoming the person you were meant to be. Protect your energy. Preserve your peace. Prioritize your purpose. You have a choice. To live drained or to live disciplined. To live reactive or to live intentional. To live for noise or to live for purpose. Energy management is self-respect. When you guard your emotional state, you guard your future. When you conserve your strength, you command your destiny. Because the calm mind wins. The stable spirit endures. And the disciplined soul conquers quietly. Protect your energy. Preserve your peace. Prioritize your purpose. You've learned how to guard your emotional wealth. Now, it's time to learn how to build internal power that no one can take from you. Because the strongest energy always comes from within. And it's forged through self-mastery. Chapter 10. The calm mind wins every war. In the end, it all comes down to this. The calm mind wins every war. Not the loudest voice. Not the angriest reaction. Not the one with the biggest following or the sharpest tongue. The one who stays calm wins. Every time. Because calm is control. Calm is clarity. Calm is power. When the world around you is in chaos, your stillness becomes your advantage. When everyone else is panicking, your composure becomes your weapon. When others react, you respond. When they fall apart, you stand firm. That is mastery. That is emotional detachment in motion. That is the quiet strength most people never reach because it takes discipline. You've spent this entire journey learning that emotional detachment isn't about feeling nothing. It's about mastering everything. You've learned to observe instead of react. To redirect emotion instead of wasting it. To choose clarity over chaos. To walk away when peace costs less than pride. And to protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Now, it's time to put it all together. Now, it's time to become unshakable. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Stay powerful. Here's the truth, life will never stop testing you. People will still betray you. Circumstances will still shift overnight. Pressure will still come from every direction. But now, you respond differently. You no longer beg people to understand you. You no longer argue with chaos. You no longer react to every wave that hits you because you've become the ocean. You become steady, deep, still, powerful without noise. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Stay powerful. When your emotions rule you, you lose yourself. When your peace rules you, you lead yourself. That's the key. A calm mind doesn't mean a soft spirit, it means a stable one. It's not about passivity. It's about precision. Not about ego. About endurance. Not about appearing strong, but being unmovable. You don't need their permission to stay composed. You don't need anyone's approval to stay grounded. You have a choice, panic or power. You can't have both. Choose calm. Every time. Think about the strongest people in history, leaders, warriors, thinkers, visionaries. They weren't ruled by emotion. They were guided by principle. Marcus Aurelius led an empire under fire, and yet, his greatest command was over himself. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Nelson Mandela walked out of prison with peace in his eyes, not vengeance in his heart. Because he knew, calm is not surrender. Calm is strategy. Modern athletes know it too. The greats, Kobe, Federer, Serena, Jordan, they play under pressure, but never with panic. Their bodies move fast, but their minds stay still. That's not talent. That's training. That's discipline. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Stay powerful. When you're calm, you see things others don't. You catch patterns. You read intent. You see the game behind the noise. Most people are blinded by emotion, too busy reacting to see clearly. But the calm mind, it watches. It waits. And it acts when the timing is right. That's how you win without forcing. How you move without explaining. How you lead without shouting. It's not about emotion. It's about execution. Not about proving. About positioning. You have a choice, chaos or control. And every time you choose calm, you grow stronger. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to answer every insult. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. Because silence is louder than reaction. And peace is stronger than pride. When they attack you, stay calm. When they misunderstand you, stay calm. When life throws storms your way, stay calm. Because chaos feeds on reaction. But calm starves it. Every time you refuse to react, you take back power. Every time you choose peace, you prove strength. Every time you breathe instead of break, you evolve. That's the path of mastery. That's what emotional detachment truly is. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Stay powerful. Let's make this practical. Here's how to live this lesson every single day. Step 1. Build a morning of stillness. Start your day in silence, no phone, no noise, no rush. Train your mind to find peace before the world demands your attention. That's how warriors center themselves before battle. Step 2. Practice the pause. When emotion rises, stop. Breathe. Count to 5. This one pause separates reaction from response. It's not about avoiding emotion. It's about mastering it. Step 3. Develop calm rituals. Deep breathing. Cold showers. Daily journaling. These aren't trends, they're training tools. Every calm practice strengthens your emotional muscle. Step 4. Visualize control. See yourself calm under pressure. See yourself composed when chaos hits. Rehearse peace until it becomes reflex. Because what you repeatedly visualize, you eventually embody. And when calm becomes your identity, chaos loses its power. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Stay powerful. Here's something most people don't realize. Calm doesn't mean nothing affects you. It means nothing controls you. You still feel emotion. You still experience stress. But you no longer drown in it, you redirect it. You don't deny anger, you harness it for focus. You don't suppress fear, you transform it into preparation. You don't avoid discomfort, you grow through it. That's maturity. That's self-mastery. Because it's not about perfection, it's about discipline. And discipline is built in the moments when your peace is tested. When everything around you is screaming, whisper control. When everyone else is breaking, breathe strength. When everything feels chaotic, anchor yourself in calm. You have a choice, lose your peace or lead your mind. Every day, make the same decision, lead. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Stay powerful. Picture this. You're walking through chaos. Noise all around. Pressure building. People panicking. But your breathing is steady. Your thoughts are sharp. Your focus unshaken. You move like a warrior in a storm, composed. Precise. Unstoppable. You're not moved by opinions. You're not shaken by setbacks. You're not owned by emotion. You've become the calm in the storm. The stillness others seek. The symbol of emotional mastery. That's power. That's freedom. That's what detachment was always meant to create. Let the world burn if it must, your peace is not for sale. Let people talk if they want, your focus is not negotiable. Let storms come if they will, your foundation is unshakable. Because you've built something stronger than reaction. You've built a calm that cannot be touched. And when you carry that calm, you carry command. Of yourself. Of your energy. Of your life. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Stay powerful. This may feel like the end of the journey, but really, it's the beginning of mastery. Because calm isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily discipline. Every day, life will test your peace. Every day, chaos will try to provoke your reaction. Every day, you'll have to choose between control and collapse. And every day, choose calm. Because the calm mind doesn't just survive the storm. It becomes the storm's end. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Stay powerful. You've learned the art of detachment. You've learned to master emotion. You've learned to control the only battlefield that ever mattered, your mind. Now live it. Every day. Every moment. Every breath. Because here's the ultimate truth. You can't control the world. But you can always control yourself. And the one who controls himself wins. Every single time. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Stay powerful. The war is over and peace was your victory all along. Conclusion. You've just learned a secret that most people will spend their entire lives chasing, but never truly master. Emotional detachment is not avoidance, it's power. It's not coldness, it's control. It's not withdrawal, it's wisdom. When you stop reacting, you start choosing. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you stop explaining, you start commanding respect. This isn't about cutting yourself off from the world. It's about moving through it with clarity. It's about protecting your energy, defending your peace, and mastering your focus. You've learned to pause before you react. To breathe before you respond. to redirect emotion instead of wasting it, to detach from what doesn't deserve you and invest in what truly fulfills you. This is your new armor. Calm, controlled, unshakable. From this moment forward, you no longer beg for peace, you become peace. You no longer seek validation, you embody it. You no longer run from chaos, you stand above it. Because now, you understand. When life pushes, you don't flinch. When people test you, you don't react. When pressure rises, you don't collapse. You hold your center. You protect your energy. You keep your peace, no matter what. The calm mind wins every war. Always. So go live it. Don't just listen to this audiobook, become it. Let your calm speak louder than your words. Let your discipline outshine your emotions. Let your silence hold more power than your reaction. Detachment isn't distance, it's dominance. It's not that you stop caring. It's that you care correctly for yourself, your energy, your evolution. Every day, life will try to pull you back into chaos. But now you know better. Now you know how to stay still when the world shakes. How to stay composed when emotions rise. How to stay grounded when everything feels uncertain. You are no longer a slave to reaction. You are no longer chasing what doesn't serve your peace. You are no longer defined by how the world moves, because now you move it. So remember this. Detach. Discipline. Dominate. The world belongs to the emotionally unshaken. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Stay powerful. Because peace was the real victory all along.